So we don't have any of our music aficionados here this morning, so I will start us out with Yankee Doodle Dandy. No, God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Who needs a piano or JP? Nicely done. Larry Delhagen has our invocation this morning.
Lord, accept our thanks for this day and all its blessings. We ask that you guide and direct our club, its leaders, and our actions. Grant that each of us may feel our responsibility to Rotary, to our community, to our country, and indeed to all the peoples of the world. Bless our fellowship today, and bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies in your service. Amen.
Thank you, Larry. Lexa, who do we have for guests this morning? I see a few of them out there.
We have a full page of guests. Ashley, will you introduce your guest, Wade?
Hello, everyone. I brought Wade George today. Sounds like he already knows some of you.
Hello. And Gordon, will you introduce Larry?
If I bring a friend to Rotary, Larry Hemberger. Larry was BDM at Delta Airlines for 30 years. He currently serves on the board at Lehigh Valley International Airport. We're also board members on two travel organizations, Eastern Travel Association and Strong International.
Thank you. And Rick, will you introduce Mike?
Mike Bailey. This is Mike Bailey. He works in Macungie at Bailey Insurance. Mike, will you introduce yourself, please?
Hi.
And we have a return appearance. John, will you introduce?
Whoa.
Hi, this is Owen. He's super excited to listen to Eric's talk about.
Yeah.
And we have a special first-time appearance, so I'm going to let Rose introduce Anna.
Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to bring Anna with me today. She's going to be visiting us pretty regularly. Anna Haikila is our exchange student that we're hosting for the year. She arrived here the other day on Tuesday. Gordon was nice enough to pick her up from Newark. So if you get a chance on the way out, please make sure you say hi to Anna and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Do we have any undocumented guests?
Peter.
Oh, Peter, you're technically a guest?
Now, he makes his own line and signs in.
Okay, thank you.
He knows how to do it.
Perfect. Thanks, Lex. So, I guess that means that Ashley and Gordon and Rick all have brought a guest. So, I know you're all jealous since you all have to bring a guest one time this year. Right, Gordy? Okay, very good.
And Linda's not a guest.
And, John's doing pretty good. He's at a half a point now because Owen's worth a quarter point. Direct descendants are worth quarter points. But thank you. And Rick is our membership chair. Mike, it's Mike, right? Yep. Your papa is Tom?
Yep.
Good man. We won't hold that against you, though. But just see him, and he'll get you the application. Wade? Larry? That's the guy right there. That's three more. Perfect. No pressure. Just get your application from him afterwards. All right, so quick announcements here from the podium. Peter does need a ride to Rotary next week. Is there anybody that can pick him up on the way in that knows where he lives? Peter, do you have the address that I can tell everybody?
2031 Winthrop.
2031 Winthrop. It's actually right around the corner here. It's pretty close.
Off Pembroke.
Peter, you should know the address just for future, if you want people to pick you up. You like it's that one? Oh, wonderful. Alicia, okay, great. 2031 Winthrop. Perfect. Okay, thanks, Alicia. Okay, so thank you this morning to those that showed up to do their weekly duties. Dave Colt did not show up today, and he'll be getting an email from me asking him why he blew off his duties at the table. But I want to thank Doug Brinker, who stepped in very quickly. Doug did have a good excuse not to be here last week for the invocation, and he actually found a replacement for him. Also, Sal was our greeter. So thanks, Sal. Thanks for doing your Rotary duty this morning.
He did 3 people's duty.
What's that?
For a while, he did 3 people's
You do. He was greeting, he was checking in. Also, Mario was collecting money for E-Ray. And Larry Delhagen, thank you for your nice invocation. But Bill, what is E-Ray?
Okay, just a very, very quick update. E-Ray is every Rotarian, every year. It was started a number of years ago in order to encourage each and every Rotarian to give to the foundation on the basis of $100 a year. A number of years ago, Jeff McElhaney said, the E-Ray number has been $100 for many, many years. He's a financial guy. He said, maybe we got to think about inflation. So since the first donation to Rotary was $26.50, the thought was, well, let's make an elevated E-Ray, which is $126.50. So either amount is acceptable. So it's a program to encourage every Rotarian to donate something to the foundation. As I've said many times, the foundation is basically the heart of Rotary, in terms of all the things we do around the world. So every Rotarian, every year, either $100 or $126.50, or a lesser amount, which is certainly appreciated, but if you could step up the E-Ray, that would be great.
And that's the last person at the sign-in table, right?
Yes.
You can give $5 a week if you want.
Yeah, there's a number of different ways. There's piggy banks available. You can take the extra $5 and pass it down the table. 20 weeks later, you have your $100. So there's plenty of different ways to do E-Ray and support the foundation, but simply that's what it is.
And how does someone get to Paul Harris?
Paul Harris basically is $1,000. So in theory, if you would do E-Ray for 10 years in a row, you would get Paul Harris recognition at that level. So that's at first the recognition level is 1,000, and then every 1,000 after that, there's another Paul Harris.
Fantastic. What's a Paul Harris?
Paul Harris recognition is something that was started many, many years ago with the idea that Rotarians that stepped up to the level of $1,000 donation would get what was called a Paul Harris recognition, Paul Harris being the one that started Rotary. So his name has been carried forward as the one that the recognition is named after, to acknowledge and recognize those Rotarians that step up to that higher level of $1,000.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
More to come on that later. Guess what's in the back table, guys? Committee signups. Now, I know there's still a couple of you out there, and I won't look at the table that I know where, but we need you to sign up for committees this year. Oh, hey, John. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Even if you don't participate, I'd love to see your name written on one of those committees. Father-in-law. And you'll get emails on some events. You might say, hey, that kind of sounds cool that I'll participate in. So I really want to encourage every single person here, get your name on the committee sheets. You'd be surprised, we're about 90% of our members right now sign up for committees, which I think is fantastic. So give yourself a round of applause for that, please. And it's still August, and August is Rotary Membership Month. You know what our goal is this year, for everybody to bring one guest. Thank you for those that have already done that. There's still, just want to remind you that for the new members, and anyone else who wants to be part of it, Monday, October 7th, there's a Welcome to the World of Rotary event at Bravo from 6:30 to 8:30. Also, we have the Purple Pinky Race coming to Lehigh Carbon Community College in Schnecksville on Saturday, October 12th. And I mentioned last week that Cindy wants to put a team together for that. We're going to be voting at the board today to support that, as we do every year. And also, as I just mentioned, there is a board meeting immediately following today's meeting. How about announcements from the floor? Johnny?
Just as important as the foundation is for the international efforts, the local efforts of this club are supported largely by the golf tournament and the ticket sales. The golf tournament is 2.5 weeks away. We could still use a couple more golfers, and certainly it'll take as many sponsorships as we can get. So if you don't have a flyer, there's one on the table. Please take a look at the whole sponsorship, Birdie, Eagle, whatever you may do, and appreciate everyone that's already sponsored to date. In addition, these tickets got printed and were delivered last week on Friday. This is for 8 days at the British Open, 3 of those are in London, or a $7,000 voucher to the Caribbean or Disney vacation of your choosing is the first prize. $100 a ticket, there are only 300 sold. We've got about 100 out on the floor, and we need to get to 150 really by next week. We need your help in selling at least 50 or 60 more of these. Appreciate everyone's participation. And any questions, see Mario, Don, my father, Rick, Barry, Frank, Eric Locke, anyone else on the committee. So, thank you guys.
Thank you, John. Anyone else? Bill?
Hey, just a quick reminder, I still have this book, The New Retirement Mentality, that Jeff was generous enough to donate to the club. If anybody is thinking about retirement, about to retire, I suggest this is a book to read. You're welcome to borrow it, to read it. If you're interested, let me know. Thank you.
Dee?
Only because I'll be gone for a month, but Amaze Rotary will be hosting the Incoming Oregon RFD on October 15th to October 19th. If anybody is interested in hosting, we have 2 couples coming and 3 singles. If somebody would be interested in hosting them, please email me because I won't be around, but I have to organize it somehow while I'm in Africa. So if you're interested, we could certainly use some extra hosts. Thanks.
Thanks, Dee. Nicole?
Just a reminder, Wheels of Time is this weekend. I did email everyone who's volunteering. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I do have badges here. If you didn't get one, then you're volunteering.
Did you ever get my message?
No?
I'll talk to you afterwards.
Okay.
Ash?
So for part of the fellowship committee, we talked about doing the community yard sale in the May together. So Better Homes and Gardens has offered up their lawn course to you. So fellowship committee will be providing tables. We are just asking that you come, set up your stuff. We ask that you stay to watch over your things, and then when you leave, take your things with you. So Megan and I aren't stuck with a bunch of junk at the end of the day. The idea is just for us to spend time together, and the funds that we are going to collect from selling the items are going to go towards scholarship. So there's information on your tables. We're just kind of asking that you don't bring any big items. Yeah, we don't want to get stuck with anything. But if you have questions or you would like to participate, let Megan or I know. And it's Saturday, September 7th.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. Megan?
Just to kind of piggyback off the fellowship, tomorrow is the Iron Pigs game. I've already handed out the tickets to everyone that I've seen that has them. They'll be at will call if they haven't been here today, which you're not going to hear this message anyway. But I happen to have 1 extra ticket. It's complimentary. It's the Field of Dreams night. It'll be a good time. So if anyone wants to snag the last ticket, let me know before I leave this building today. And it's all yours. We're having a great time tomorrow. And it's also for the yard sale, let us know by next Thursday if you're going to participate so we know who to expect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you have that ticket on you?
I do.
Okay, so does anybody want the ticket? Megan, I'd suggest to go into Club Runner and do a group email to everybody again, just to see if you can find it. Okay, great. Rose?
So, a little hiccup. Anna came to the U.S. with a non-compatible phone, even though it's unlocked. So if anybody happens to have an old cell phone lying around the house that they're not using and could allow Anna to use it, it would just help her out because the phone is not compatible. It's going to need to buy a new one. Okay? And I will also follow up with an email, if that's all right with you, Steve?
Yeah, please.
And see if anybody has one in the club.
Great. Peter?
Thank you, President. When I came here last week, the other week, I brought some small gift from Kenya. And these are made by school children in Kenya, grade 7 to grade 10. They make them. And then we give them free. So if you not bought one, please let me know and then I'll give you one. The purpose of this one is put the key. And the work of the key is to open. Which door do you open? Open the right door and you succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I always love hearing your motivational position, even though you don't know the address or where you live. And I still, thank you.
He has not on my own, goes to my best friend.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
Grandpa Bob. Okay, did I see any other hands up for announcements? No, okay. Raffle. Sal.
This a handsome young man, and I'm not talking about you. The one they take to the bottom. Last 4 digits, 426.
4 digits or 3?
Did I say 4?
Yes, you did.
Last 4 digits. 1426. 426, last 3 digits. Okay, buddy. The one that's taped to the bottom. I'm just kidding. There you go. Last 3 digits. 440.
Good job, thank you. All right. I can go buy more stuff for the art sale.
Last 3, 413.
Oh, it's mine.
Sue, that'll keep you around for a while as a new member.
It's okay. I don't win this.
Last 3 digits. 420.
Mario. All right.
Now he only needs $90 more to buy a ticket.
That's fantastic. All right, Sarge.
You have to move along quickly.
I think, how much time do you want, Eric?
The universe.
The universe?
Universe, whatever.
I mean,
It is, you got a couple minutes.
all right. John was late and left early, so I got money from him. A couple other people were late. I received their money. I was great to see that Ollie is catching on, name badge and pin on. John, though, is advertising some sort of company on the shirt, so he paid me a fine. So those guests and new members, these are rules that have been around forever, that have been established. If you happen to have a picture, some sort of appropriation, I can fine you for that. If it's a color picture, the fine is 2.5 times. So anybody have happy dollars? Because I know I'm quick. All right, Alicia.
Yes, I'm so glad to be back. It took us, Michael and I, almost 3 days to get back from Eugene, Oregon. Plane was not working, stay overnight. The next day the plane was late, missed the connections, 12 hours in San Francisco, and we finally made it to Pennsylvania. So, yeah, welcome home. And it was a wonderful experience, and everybody was really sweet participating in the friendship exchange. Oregon is gorgeous and beautiful. Thank you.
Go ahead, Bill.
I have a thank you $5 for Nicole who saved my marriage. My wife is at home recovering from hip surgery. This is the first morning I tried to get somewhere at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was not pretty. So she agreed to step in and help me out Sunday morning by replacing me at Wheels of Time at 7 o'clock in the morning. So Nicole, thank you very much. In the true spirit of Rotary, thank you.
Larry?
Apropos of traveling, if you're planning on traveling internationally, give yourself like 4 hours to get through customs. My daughter traveled yesterday back from Costa Rica. It took her 22 hours. She missed not one but 2 connecting flights. The first one because it took 4 hours to go through customs in Fort Lauderdale, and then she missed her flight in Charlotte, so she got in last night at midnight. But I'm happy to have her home.
I'm happy to almost have my 4 back together in the basement. As I'm looking for my pin last Thursday morning, and find it, and then go downstairs in the kitchen with my shoes off, I find my feet are wet. Well, we got a new kitchen going in, new floor, refrigerator put in, and I put that refrigerator filter thing in. Well, it leaked all night. And I hear her screaming from the basement as it's raining through the bar room. So we're about almost back to being back in business in the bar.
Woody,
You'll be next.
I got $2 happy, and this is because I kind of miss the Brantford going back and forth between Larry and Mark.
Yeah, that's right. We need some Yankee fans.
Philly's taking the series over.
Do I get a rebuttal? Our season ended a while ago, so since I no longer have a dog in this fight, I'm now a Phillies fan.
I just want to piggyback on that. I don't know if anybody is in contact with Marge. I did see her go by ambulance. As I was going by, I tried to stop and talk with her. But the other day, she was put in an ambulance. So I don't know if anybody is really connected with her or could connect with her daughter. But
I've talked.
okay.
Marge has obviously been struggling for a while, and she has her sister there taking care
Okay,
of her.
I tried, but the cops were there, and I just wanted to say, I'm praying for Marge. She was smiling though.
That's good.
So.
Yes, so in our bylaws, there is a provision that defines how you're supposed to dress when you come to Rotary meetings. And it's called business casual, whatever that means. Last week, Megan became my inspiration for business casual. And so I've added this shirt.
All right.
And this footwear.
Oh my. Awesome.
To my business casual dress.
All right, John.
John, there's hope for you yet, bud.
Alexa.
I have $2 happy as part of my birthday celebration. My sister used her season tickets. We sat behind the dugout last Thursday night at the Phillies game. And so I got to see the bottom of the ninth when they batted around. And grand slam home run with playoff fever among the crowds. And I have 2 optimistic dollars. Call me cockeyed. I just hope they continue to play well.
Well, with Larry supporting him now, it's all uphill. Eric.
Right, $2 happy today. If you remember a month or so ago, we had the folks from the Manito Horse Farm. We're here chatting about things. I was fortunate yesterday to help with their gala down at the Belgate Farm. Again, just a phenomenal organization. They raised about $50,000 last night with their auction and all that kind of stuff. But I was just happy to be there and be a part of a phenomenal event.
Burton, I think, will be our last.
Yeah, I have $3 happy. First of all, I want to welcome Hannah to America and to our Rotary Club. Also, my friend Larry Hamburger for coming today. And finally, Jim Kenny for inviting me to a round of golf at Brookside this past weekend.
All right, I'm sorry, Owen.
It's actually me. We were away for 7 days, so I have $7 happy. We went on vacation to Stone Harbor. This is a very happy and adventurous dollar because Owen decided to pick up some stuff out of the ocean. There was a bunch of fishing line, and along with the fishing line came a lot of hooks and a big weight. So he picked everything up. A nice big hook went in his finger. We ended up going to the emergency room, so that was fun. X-rays later, the hook went very close to the bone, so they couldn't push it out. So they had to like cut his finger open, slice it back out. He was a very good sport. He had stitches and everything, so he's good to go. But nothing like a vacation and an adventure at the same time.
Good friends, our presenter today needs little introduction, but I am going to do a little introduction because we have new people who may not know Eric Locke. Eric grew up here in the Lehigh Valley. He grew up in his family business He's been in this industry for 50 years. He now owns the company. And married to his wife.
My girlfriend for 42 years.
42 years. And his interests are all outdoors, the sky and hitting the road on his bike. Eric?
Just take a minute or so to get set up here. Everybody can hear me all right? Okay. We're going to start off with, because we have a young gentleman here who's kind enough to actually want to be here because I'm talking. So it's like, that's pretty good. Somebody actually showed up because I'm talking. So because of that, Colin, you're going to get the chance to touch something from outer space.
Whoa.
That is older than the Earth. All right. This is a meteorite. All right. So this is about approximately 3.5 to 4 billion years old. It landed in Russia somewhere in the 1800s. If you hold it up to the sky, you'll see little yellow pieces in there. Go ahead, you can hang on to it, and then we'll just pass it around the room for it. That piece has a little more special meaning to myself and to Lexa, because the crystals that you'll see in there actually are our birthstone. They're olivine, which is a form of peridot for it. But if you want to touch a little bit of space, which is what I enjoy doing, that will do it for you right there. All right, so thanks again for coming out this morning. What I'm going to talk about a little bit is just where amateur astronomy is at today. For we've all had a chance at some point in time to probably look at the moon, whatever kind of thing. It's been a passion of mine for probably the last 15 to 20 years. Just like all kids, I got one of those little telescopes, and soon tired of it because it was just so hard to work with and find anything. And the people who go to some of your big box stores and buy that $150 telescope that says it's up to 600 times magnification. It's the worst thing you can ever do to a budding astronomer because they're absolutely terrible for it. But I'm a member of the Lehigh Valley Amateur Astronomy Society. Mike Waddell, who is a member of our group here, is also a member. So I'll just tell you a little bit about LVAS. For us, we've been around since 1957. We're located just up on South Mountain, just a little east of the Channel 69 studios is where our main headquarters is. So again, we're an educational nonprofit corporation. Again, our basic purpose is to help people who are into astronomy learn more about it, learn to enjoy the hobby. It's quite fascinating to be able to do that. We do have observatories on South Mountain. So this is our headquarters building. We have our own planetarium that will do planetarium shows monthly. For the public, we have public start parties every single month. You can go to our website, which is just the lvas.org. We'll show all that for you. Again, we've been helping people since 1957, so there's some nice old historic photos showing them, again, the wonders of the nighttime sky for us, which is, like I said, and the wonders of the nighttime sky start from just walking out your front door, back door at nighttime, and just looking up for it is where it all starts. So we've been doing that since 1957. We are the only public planetarium in the Lehigh Valley. Let's go. We're currently at about 200 members for us, and we have some, again, that's just another one of our planetariums. That's actually at our remote site, which is up at Pulpit Rock. Actually, no, that is up at South Mountain. We have a remote site also at Pulpit Rock, so anyone who becomes a member actually will have access to that site. We're hoping within the next year and a half or so to actually have a 40-inch telescope online for our use. It's been an agonizing project for our club for the better part of 20 plus years for it, but we're hoping, and there's just a huge team of dedicated volunteers that are working very hard. Once we get that 40-inch telescope up and running, it's going to be quite phenomenal. And again, we'll, like once or twice a year, we actually open up Pulpit Rock to public people as well, because it's not easy to get there. We're lucky we have access to a road that runs up through the Hamburg watershed that members are allowed to drive up that road for it. So again, we exist as most all nonprofits through membership dues and fundraising. and of course through all types of generous donations that we receive. Some of the things that we do, what's called field meets. Again, this is one of our shots in the upper left-hand corner. This is up at Pulpit Rock have some really great general meetings, some phenomenal speakers. This is one of our very, very long-time members for it. He was actually one of the people who sat on the committee to decide whether we demote Pluto or not for it. And because he is so very scientific, if you ever get into a discussion with him, it'll take you hours because he'll be so far over your head because he's just a very intelligent man. But yes, there were valid reasons to reclassify Pluto as a dwarf planet instead of a regular planet. Sometimes we meet at Muhlenberg during the winter meetings. Not much of this anymore, but telescope making, which has pretty much gone by the wayside for a lot of people because it's very time consuming but an interesting hobby. And then this is where we're going to spend some more time this morning. CCD, which is basically imaging type of stuff for astronomy today. All right, so if anybody was ever interested in joining, all you got to do is show up to 2 of our meetings for it, and you'll become a member. Dues run, I think, approximately like $60 a year or so to become a member. Some of the neat things of just becoming even just a basic member, you show up once a year kind of thing is you do have use of 6 observatories. This is a neat part for rental scopes. If it's something where even you have family members who are maybe thinking of getting into this hobby, they've expressed some interest in it, and you don't want to waste the money getting something that's not going to work for them. We have rentals available for you of different ways. Some folks, when they're going on vacation, are going to a darker site, and at which point they'll grab one of our rentals as members and then do that. The newsletter, astronomy magazines, and like I said, we have an annual members night picnic out at Pulpit Rock, which is quite phenomenal to be able to do that. Okay, so again, what is astronomy? And again, the key things to always remember: astronomy is not astrology, and astrology is not astronomy. And we see a lot of folks just naturally get those 2 terms confused because they sound similar to begin with, but there's a very, very distinct difference between the 2 of them. Okay, so the main thing we deal with today is why can't I walk out my backyard at Emmaus and see the Milky Way? All right, and obviously this story is it's the light pollution aspect of things. What astronomers like is those black spots. All right, if I could blow this up, it would be neat to see. But this is DC. There's Philadelphia. There's New York. Those are the white spots. The white spots basically mean you can't even see it. You can barely see a couple stars at night if you're lucky for it. But if I were able to blow it up, right in the middle of that little blue circle there is a little black dot. And that's actually Cherry Springs, which is out near Coudersport, PA, which is where I will hopefully be next weekend to finally get some astronomy stuff in for the year. But that is actually a certified dark sky site, the first one east of the Mississippi and we'll get into that in a little bit, talk a little bit more about Cherry Springs, but it is one site that we can go. And again, going back to the lighting issue, astronomers are not against lighting. We're just against lighting going in the wrong direction. That light, anybody who flies at nighttime, which I do a fair amount of and all that, why are those lights coming up and I can see them from 35,000 feet? They really need to be down on the 35 feet of the ground where you're looking to. So it's more about shielding is what we look at today with all the development that we have in the valley and all that. What we're looking for, again, is we're not looking to stop any of that from the development purposes of things, but when we do lighting, let's do proper lighting. I have a neighbor 3 doors away who has one of those nasty dusk at dawn lights. It destroys my backyard for it. And someone had shielding on it years ago, and they took it off for it. So in the spring and summer, I got some leaves that'll kind of shield it a little bit, but I hardly do any real observing in my backyard anymore because it's just too much light pollution. And it's unwanted light. It's what we call light trespass for it. So if that lights to go down and light up the ground, let's keep it down on the ground, lighting up the ground. We don't need to light up space. So what are the tools of amateur astronomers? Number 1, just your brain, your eyes, binoculars, a telescope, a star chart, a camera, a computer, or just the basic tools that we're going to use for amateur astronomy. All right, so even something quite as simple as this. All right, a pair of binoculars. Now with this pair of binoculars, I have these little pieces as well on the front. This is so if I wish to observe the sun with this pair of binoculars, they're actually it's a filter. So what I'll see is just the white light of the sun on there, so it won't damage eyes at all for it. Simple to make, a little cardboard, it's called a botter filter, but that way I can observe the sun with just a pair of binoculars. It's amazing. Now again, this is a little bit bigger pair of binoculars, but it's amazing what you can see with handheld binoculars when you're in a dark sky site. Your basic telescope types, again, all we're basically looking at doing is bouncing light around so it can come back to an eyepiece. This type of telescope reduces the length of this scope, and therefore you can have a much larger diameter telescope which captures more light. The more light captured, the more things your eye will be able to see at nighttime. But those are the three basic, showing the light paths of the three basic types of telescopes. All right, so why doesn't what I'm looking at stay in the eyepiece? Well, it's because the Earth has not stopped moving for it. So that is the problem with a lot of very, very inexpensive telescopes is you got to constantly be moving it and fidgeting with it, and your image is bouncing around like crazy. All right, so what was invented 20 some odd years ago is called GoTo. The mounts that I use actually have a small computer built into the base of it. Once you basically tell that telescope where you're at on the planet, which is pretty easy to do just by aligning two stars, give it date and time, you can pretty much then say, hey, go to this, go to that, go over here, go there, and if you got reasonable, what we call alignment, it's going to go right there for you. So you spend more time observing things, less time fiddling with a telescope. Some today even have GPS. You just turn on the GPS unit, it automatically knows where you're at, and you're off and running. Eyepieces. The most important thing here is quality. We're talking about glass, so the better your quality of glass, the better your vision, the better your view is going to be. And as long as you take good care of them, eyepieces will last 25, 30 years, without a problem. So that's one of the things I've always learned to invest in is buy very good glass. Those are just some different things that we look at. So again, I'm going to just flip to another site here. But anytime you want to come join us, like I said, once a month we do a presentation up at South Mountain. Let's go here. Okay, so the part I want to go into a little bit more in the time that we have left. All right, which is, let me just get back here. All right, so how do we do this astronomy thing? And the first thing is, let's just go outside and look up. Oops, wrong screen, sorry. That's not what I wanted. Let's get back here. We have our, let's go. Sorry. Silly. Okay, so all we got to do is start looking up. All right, and that's what this carving is from 3000 BC. It shows a woman looking up. All right, which I saw on one of my, I think it was when I was in one of the museums in Russia last year. I saw this so again, this is her face and the body. That's why they know it was a woman, because it's a slender body. Probably paying homage to fertility gods, whatever, because obviously back in many days, your heavens and your skies had very religious connotations and all that. But that's one of the first amateur astronomers from 3000 BC, and it was good to see that it was a woman doing that as well. When's the last time you've seen that?
Never.
2 years.
All right, it's not visible here anymore. This is Cherry Springs State Park. All right, about a 4-hour drive from here. It's utterly phenomenal. It's my third home for it, because I just absolutely love being up there for it, because now again, your eye won't absorb all this, but when I'm up there, this is just jumps out at you. I've seen this through light cloud cover. That's how dark Cherry Springs is. That's how dark it would be here if we didn't have all the light pollution that we have for it. But it's just what we have to deal with and know. So this is where I go to do astronomy. Again, just another shot of Cherry Springs. This is what a typical setup is going to look like for somebody. That's why you'll probably see it next Thursday. I kind of talk about this as being my clampet truck for it. But once I have my scope, that's my large scope in there. This is the smaller ones that I have here. Just a simple 10 by 10 canopy. Of course, we have to always do a little marketing at the same time for whoever shows up. That way you can write some things off when you shows up. But you never know if an alien might stop by, and I'm going to take advantage of it if I can. But that's my basic setup. It's kind of my little mini office where we're lucky at Cherry Springs State Park because electricity is on the field. There's restroom facilities, all that kind of good stuff. Like the state park down the road allows you to take showers, so I'm not quite so grubby. And yes, that's my second home, which is the Flag of Belgium, since I'm there quite a few times a year. This is just for Rick's purposes, because he used to kid me about my size of my small car. So when I still had my car at one time, all that came out of the back of that. Oh, that's right. I did remove the passenger seat at the same time, but it was just to show that you can put an awful lot in that car for it. So where a lot of amateur astronomy is at today is using cameras and to take. This is a collage of pictures a friend of mine from Canada took over the course of a year's time. We're going to run a little late on time here, so I'm going to go through things pretty quickly. This was done by our own Mike Waddell. This was just a time lapse with just a standard 35mm camera that he just put on a tripod and just started doing exposures about every 30 seconds or so. You can see a little jet trail running through here with the red lights on here. This is up in the southern near the Sagittarius constellation. This is, again, beautiful galaxy. I love looking at galaxies, so this is one of my friends who did a nice image. To quickly go through the imaging part of things, to produce beautiful images like that, you're going to be using a telescope even just like this. You don't need large telescopes to do that today. One of the things that I enjoy, because I have no patience for anything anymore, as Megan knows, working with me for a while, this is actually a color video camera. So I will hook that onto the back of this telescope, and I will see that then on my computer screen. Most of these beautiful shots that you'll see, now that's actually my color video of that same galaxy for it. But when you get into these beautiful shots, they are captured over hours and hours and hours of time with the telescope, and then hours and hours and hours of time in Photoshop type programs to bring out. This is our neighbor galaxy, the Andromeda Galaxy. It's got two other little galaxies right around it. This is visible, what we call naked eye, definitely in Cherry Springs. At South Mountain, we can just make it out. It'll just kind of look like a little blob like that in the nighttime sky. That's a mere 1.2 million light years away. So every time I look at it, I'm looking way back in time. So that's the neat part of astronomy. We will get closer than we ever want to get to this galaxy in about 4 billion years, because we're going to crash together for it as galaxies do. But no worries, our sun will have exploded by that time anyway, so it really doesn't matter. We won't see it to begin with, because our sun as it expands, and as the reason our sun is orangish in color is because it is an expanding star. The gases, they expand. It's an older star, so eventually they will collapse, and all those kind of little things happen in about 4.5 billion years, so we don't have to worry about it for it. That's my color video camera doing that same galaxy. So again, when I'm actually able to see some of the bands, this is the one satellite galaxy of Andromeda, but I see that right away on my screen for it, so I don't have to do any manipulation in Photoshop programs. That's again another friend of mine, the Veil Nebula, which is up near Vega in the nighttime sky, off of the constellation Cygnus actually. Neat to see, because you kind of work your way through this with it's all whitish in color in the telescope, but it is still really neat to see.
What's a nebula?
Nebula are gases that have been released from stars that have exploded for it. So it's all kind of, in other words, they're space-time clouds for us, is what nebulosity would be. Thank you as well as that. And if you ever get a chance, go to the Hubble telescope site. This is what's called the ultra deep field thing. If you were actually able to zoom in here, this thing is nothing but galaxies. In a spot of the sky, they expected to see nothing. And that spot of the sky would be about the size of a postage stamp if you were to look out at night, and there are just hundreds and hundreds. I have a very high resolution image of this, and sometimes I'll just dig deep into it. All these little smudges, everything, these are all galaxies that you're looking at here. All right, something I captured from my backyard a month or so ago. This is what's called the Eagle Nebula, which is, again, in the southern part of our skies when we're looking at nighttime near the Sagittarius constellation. You can kind of see the top of the eagle here, the wings coming out here. all this red is not fuzziness, that's just nebulosity that exists in the sky. And that's hydrogen gas is what that is. And again, that was just I think I was doing 30-second captures, and you just kind of stack one, just like a copy, you just stack one on top of the other, and it pulls out more. But that's what I like to see is the fact that, again, I'm seeing that right away. Yes, John?
Before you change that.
Yep.
From the left side to the right side,
yes.
How many light years are we talking?
A lot.
In that picture?
A whole lot. I don't have the exact number for you, John, but I know you're going to be talking probably, well, not quite billions, but I would say at least several hundred million light years across. And to give an idea of time and space for us, and why our time here, to me, to a certain degree, is so insignificant. Our galaxy, our universe, according to current science, started forming about 14 to 15 billion years ago. And we're still evolving and expanding and changing and all that kind of stuff. So we have yet to even really understand. We're understanding more and more all the time. But like I said, the other part that you look at, these areas that you see here in this nebulosity, those are actually where stars are being formed in there because of all the gas components in there. Just they're so dense you can't see them. If we zoomed in a little bit, you see just there's one or two little stars that are there. But these are massive, hundreds of millions of miles tall, type of pieces for us. This is called the Swan Nebula. That also, again, took with my color video camera. You can see this there's the neck of the swan coming back into the body of the swan. When I'm looking through a telescope, all I'll basically see is this part. All right, so the camera captures so much more, all this other neat nebulosity down here. So, but like I said, when when someone was asking me this morning, I was getting set up, this is my spaceship. Right? Because I'll never get in space. It's a dream of mine to get there, but I know I'll never get there. So this is my spaceship. All right, this is what gets me out there. This is what's called the Rosette Nebula as well. So again, kind of self-explanatory. With you just see the core here, and again, this I was able to do in my backyard in Emmaus with my color video camera on that. So at least I can still do some stuff while I'm at home, since I can't get to Cherry Springs often. And the cloud gods have not liked us the last 2 years at all. It's been kind of nasty. One of the more famous ones people tend to enjoy is what's called the Horsehead Nebula. It just happened to take on that shape again. It's a massive star-forming region in Orion. This is, when you look at Orion, you know that you have the three stars that make the belt of Orion. This is the far, what we call your far left-hand side star, and then the Horsehead Nebula is just located a little bit down from there. This is what's called the Flame Nebula here. There's just a huge amount of activity that's going up in the Orion constellation in the way of star-forming activity and all that. So anybody doing imaging loves to try and capture it. I've been trying for the better part of 15 years to see this through a telescope, and I've yet to see that even at Cherry Springs. You have to have extremely good conditions. By some people's terms, this is considered a big telescope. What I call my big light bucket is a 25-inch diameter mirror on it. So it is, like if you saw earlier, and sitting in the back of my truck. But that's my light bucket to travel into space. Just a little shot. Again, you can do that just with a telephone. All right, I took that through this pair of binoculars when I was at Cherry Springs a few weeks ago, because that's about all I got a chance to take a look at, because the cloud gods, like I said, hated me. So it was like, yeah, it was kind of, I just held the phone up to the binoculars and took a shot right through. So it is pretty amazing what you can do with just even your phone today. Another shot from Mike Waddell. This is the lunar eclipse. A neat little shot. Again, that's just a jet trail going through there. So to those doing imaging, that kind of like just destroyed their image for them, because you can't really take those things out. They are kind of neat to look at, but you can't quite take those out. And I realize we're just about out of time here. This is the Fireworks Galaxy. That again, I took a shot of with my video camera. One of my favorite, what's called star clusters. This is a few million stars all clustered together. So it's called M13, the Hercules cluster. This is called the Dumbbell Nebula, which again, this star is not it, but a star exploded. These are the gases that are coming off of it over, again, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of years. Like I said, our minds can't absorb the time frame that we actually talk about here. It's kind of just, if we looked at it closer, you have these 3 main galaxies, but there's about another 15 galaxies in there. And like I said, galaxies are one of my fun things to look at. Just another one that I do. But again, like I said, I can do all these from the backyard and all that kind of stuff. So I realize we're past 8:30. It's 8:35, so I apologize for that on that. But anybody ever wants to chat about astronomy, grab either myself or Mike Waddell, and we'll gladly talk to you. Or like I said, stop by LVAS one. Go to our website. You'll see when we have public outings open to the public, and we'll help you look into the universe. Thank you.
How far is Cherry? Is it Cherry Field?
Cherry Springs.
Cherry
It's about a 4-hour drive if I go fast.
All right.
Only because I don't know how to drive slow. But it's a good 4 hours from here. But it's up near Caldersport, Pennsylvania. It's open to the public at any time. Anybody into astronomy is welcome to the astronomy side of the park. It's split by Route 44. The right-hand side is for traditional camping. The right-hand side is for astronomy. We do have some rules and regulations that need to be followed. We just ask that people read that ahead of time. Basically, no white lights. If you're going to stay there for the night, bring some camping gear, whatever, and you're just using red lights so you don't interrupt, because it takes almost 40 minutes for your eyes to dark adapt. But I walk around at Cherry Springs with no lighting because I don't need it. Right? It's amazing how your eyes actually, what's called dark adapting, but one shot of white light, you're done for another half hour for it. But it's a beautiful place to go, and it's fully open to the public.
Cool. I'm assuming this could be a 2-hour presentation, easily.
Yeah.
Just with all the neat, because learned a lot of cool facts today. Okay, everyone, just a reminder, there's a board meeting afterwards. Why don't we close the meeting by saying the 4-way test? The 4-way test.
Think, say, or do first is the truth. Second is it fair to all concerned. Third, will it build goodwill and friendships. Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.